Hey, welcome back. It's episode 7. Before we get too far, please like and subscribe. I appreciate you for that. But today, where I left off with our last episode, which is not necessary for you to watch to know what we're talking about in this episode, but we're talking about recruiting for pageants, right? These are like the underlying things that systems, require you to do, but they may not tell you this, right? But specifically for me, when it came to recruiting, I did the system that I'm currently the winner of. I did last year and got first runner up. So one of the biggest things I did moving forward is, I had so much fun. So of course I want to share the fun with my friends who also like to do pageantry. So I get the moving. I start recruiting. I start telling people about the pageant system. I even signed up to be a state recruiter for the state of Kentucky last year. And I'm proud to say I was able to recruit 4 girls. It was really, really fun. Um, they were actually people that I knew. We actually rode up together and had a really good time. But that's a story for another day. But like I said, when it comes to recruiting, I had so much fun. I want to share this experience with people so you can recruit. And also, side note, I'm a director for the Miss Clarksville Juneteenth pageant system. We're going into our second years. Very excited. Small plug real quick. Last year we had 10 girls, and this year we have 16 girls, and we still have a few more days before we close registration, and I'm hoping to get to 20, which would be double the amount of girls that we had the year before, which for a brand new pageant system, if anybody's watching this who's a director or just starting, you understand how much having growth, even if it's just 2 people, it's still growth. So to double it within that next year is like mind blowing. So it's just really amazing when you can have people that share your vision and want to move with you in your, in pageantry by either, coming into a pageant that you direct or joining you as a sister queen in a system that you compete in. So I'm always recruiting, right? I have no shame. I might be some people's worst nightmare, and I might be, other people might say, you do it, girl. But, I go to, as in my current position, I do find myself judging pageants. I do find myself attending pageants. I do find myself out in the community with my sash and my crown on. And one of the first, that's like recruiting 101. The first thing is when they see you in your regalia, right? They're going to ask you a question. Oh, what is that about? What do you do? And then, so it's important for you to know what your system does. Does your system have a motto? What's your system's origin story? What are things that make people interested? So one thing I think that's really cool about my pageant system is their motto: empower, inspire, and serve. Like, I think that is such a powerful motto, and that's like the first thing I share with people. The second thing I love to share is, how I felt treated in the system. A lot of times people like me, when I say like me, I mean Black people, they don't always feel welcome in certain areas where there is not a lot of diversity. And just because there's not a lot of diversity doesn't mean anything. It just means that we're not showing up. So that's my responsibility, to show up, and I'm gonna bring people with me. I I can go down a rabbit hole with that. But the biggest thing is, I want to show that pageantry is accessible to everyone, no matter what your race, color, creed, size, height, hair complexion, skin complexion, hair texture. It doesn't matter. Pageantry is for everyone. Everyone has something to share. And however you want to move through pageantry, is very important. And I think that pageantry kind of gives you, especially when you win a title, it gives you that leg up to stand on. Because I don't know, things just sound better when people listen. People tend to listen to you more when you come in with a crown and sash. And I've heard a few people say that. And so I just really appreciate what pageantry has done in my life in order to push my agendas forward, and be motivation to someone, even to women to women in the Army. I'm an active duty service member, and I'm really excited that this year that there's an active service member that is going to be in this competition. Her and I have talked offline, and I've given her like, hey, how's it been being a military person in the pageant world. And I was like, luckily, I have lots of leave, and, my command is very supportive of the things when I let them know what's going on. So sharing those experiences is another way to bring girls in and recruit. Seeing how much fun you're having is another way to bring people in. Prize package. A lot of people will, make a selection on pageantry based on the prize package. Is there a cash prize associated with your pageant? You want to talk about that, because sometimes people want to know, am I going to get a return on my investment? That's very important. So knowing the prize package, knowing the motto, knowing the origin story. Another fun thing I like about my pageant system is they're veteran owned. They're family owned. This is a family owned pageant system that has ties to military. So it's very for me, it's military friendly. I'm military, and they will make a lot of, not contingencies, but they'll meet you, where you are. If there's a problem or an issue, they're very communicative. They respond very quickly. Those are some other things that would attract people into your pageant system. Sometimes you could reach out to a director and never hear anything. No one wants to be in a pageant like that. So knowing that there's a director who's very communicative, that will communicate with you often, is very important to a lot of people. So we talked about prize package. We talked about knowing the motto, knowing the origin story. We've talked about, showing how much fun you're having. That can be shown through your social media page, and we talked about the prize package, does trips, prize money, even coming down to what the crown and the sash look like, because having a very, royal look about you when it comes to crown and sash definitely can pull people your way when it comes to that. So how does the pageant present? And then, of course, for all your budget friendly folks like myself, price also has to do with it as well. But what you put in and what you put out. If it's a $2,000 entry fee, but the prize package is a brand new car that's valued at $26,000, then there's a possibility for you to get a return on your investment. So those are just some of my tips and tricks and hints on how you can pull people in and recruit for your pageant systems, or, as a director or even as a current title holder. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that recruiting is easy, because it's not. Pageantry, I don't want to say it's dying, but a lot of people who are in the pageantry world have been in the pageantry world for a long time. It's not too often that you see newcomers coming in. So being able to present a system or present something to someone helps them kind of like move the needle and come towards the light. You want to do this. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. You're going to make a new friend, whatever that is. But that ends today's episode, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye.